Hi, welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we encourage, inform, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. I'm Christina Catane, and I write in multiple genres, including Christian dystopian fiction.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. If you're listening to us live, we love you. Whether you're listening to us on iTunes or whether you're listening to us on another platform, and we have people watching us on Facebook and YouTube. So we just like to encourage everybody to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll never miss an episode. We'll send it right to your inbox. And comment. We love your comments. We love to hear you in the chat, and we just like to welcome everybody. And we like to start each episode with a little segment called What's Up? That's where we go around and we just tell you what's up. So we're going to start with Rhonda today.
Oh, thank you.
What's up,
my
Rhonda?
punishment? Okay.
Before you get started, Rhonda, can I get you to move your mic maybe closer to your mouth because you're way quieter than the rest of us?
Is that better?
That's much.
So I have learned that I can be the queen of chaos because this whole thing, I believe, started with me today. I am so sorry that we're so late. I will take full responsibility for that. And I think I spread a little juju on Jamie because her camera's giving her a problem today. So that's really what's up with me. I've been writing all week and making good progress. So
Rhonda, I want you to tell us something about something behind you. Just pick one thing. You don't have to tell us the whole thing. There's a lot of cool stuff behind you. So just tell us one story.
Can you see the stack of bowls here?
Yes, tell us.
My mom made all these bowls.
Barb.
She's a potter till she ended up not being able to do it anymore. But anyway, so this bowl right here, when I was a kid, all these belonged to my grandma. So this one was our mashed potato bowl when I was growing up. And this one here was our banana pudding bowl that grandma made banana pudding for everything. And so now that my mom and brother are really the only ones who are huge fans of banana pudding, this is now our banana pudding bowl. And this is our mashed potato bowl.
I was going to say that's an awfully small mashed potato bowl. That would feed maybe my husband.
That would work at my house.
Thank you.
Oh, that's cute.
We
Rhonda.
probably need a smaller bowl.
Okay, who's next?
Let's go with Jennifer.
Okay, so my what's up has nothing to do with writing. I've been obviously really busy here at the house, but do you guys remember last week when I was sitting here by myself and I said, I hear a noise? And I think it's the animal on the wall.
I remember.
And you guys were like, no, you don't hear it because you didn't want me to be scared or freak out in the middle of the episode. So it's not in the walls, but it is an animal.
What is it?
We have a psycho robin that will not stop flying into our window of our dining room. And I don't know what to do. You say that, but there's bird droppings everywhere, like on my front door.
What an owl. Those fake owls?
It's able to see its reflection, and it thinks it's a competitor. So
it's not essential, Jennifer. You can't get one. You'll have to have it shipped to you.
So it's a bay window. So it's exactly what you are saying, Rhonda. And it's a bay window. So we opened the window a little bit, and I had some old nasty fabric I was going to throw away, and I just kind of put it in the window and then shut the window back up because our windows do this. And it worked for about half a day. And then he discovered the window in the bay next to that. Oh. He just keeps moving, and it's like, I don't know what to do to get rid of this.
He's so in love with himself. He keeps seeing himself. Or does he think that he's a threat?
Competitor.
Yeah. Yep. Poor guy. He's so confused.
Yeah. So I know I've got to figure out something. Someone said put decals up. That was Piper said that. That's a good idea. If I could get decals, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah,
stay home.
So
what do I have around here?
Trip to the store.
I don't know. I could maybe soap the window, and then it wouldn't be reflective.
Almost the same thing, but not at all. This woman was having a problem with hornets making a nest, so she crocheted a hornet's nest and hung it up where the hornet's nest, because they're competitive for space. So it stopped the hornet from building the nest in the corner of her porch.
I love that woman.
So if you just could put something that would scare him, a scarecrow, I don't know what would keep him away. He just keeps coming there. Maybe put up a little hand mirror for him to look at instead somewhere else.
It's a big window. That's the thing. I covered up a third of the window because
yeah.
and he just moved over to the next one. I
Oh,
know.
maybe after mating season he'll chill out.
That's what we think too.
Yeah.
But at this point, nobody wants to come in the front door. It's that gross. It is that gross. So, and you guys know how much I love birds.
I know.
Does the nest already have eggs in it?
There's no nest. Otherwise,
it's
we're at
the
the
male
There's
being
nothing
get
somewhere.
away male. Yeah.
And I apologize for anybody who's a member of PETA or is a real animal lover, but I've already asked my husband to take care of it. I'm not even kidding.
She put out a hit on the bird.
The problem is that the minute you open the door, they fly away. So you have to be on the outside looking towards the house, and I don't want them shooting at my house. So I don't know what to do. So
did you have a garden hose with one of those handle sprayer things?
I do.
I'm thinking about the time that I was trying to train our cat, and I used a squirt gun.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he got on the cabinet, I'd squirt him.
Yeah.
The only other option is maybe if you just had a really dirty window. So maybe if you just made the window so dirty the bird couldn't see his reflection. I mean, wouldn't you rather have a dirty window than a dirty porch?
Yeah, guess what? Birds are super gross and dirty. And he just keeps hitting into the windows are disgusting. They're disgusting, and he still keeps doing it. And I like Tina's idea, but it is 30 degrees outside. I don't want to stand outside for hours on end with a wet hose.
Send the husband out there. Just sit in the camping chair with the hose and just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking if he just shoots them with the BB gun enough to stun it to where he can get up to it and just take care of business by hand. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, I think it's time to change the subject.
I knew I was going to go overboard. I'm not really going to let my husband do that.
I know you're
kidding.
not, yes.
You know I'm kidding. But
it's too bad you don't have any of those kitties around there. The kitties would at least make him fly away. Okay, so I will do my what's up. We've been quarantined. If you're not my Facebook friend, I have also had nature encounters, which I'm enjoying immensely during the lockdown. We're exploring our property and finding all kinds of things out. My husband found this bug that was crawling around, and he's like, what is this bug? It looked just like a rock that had some moss growing on it, and it was crawling around. And this thing was like a pencil eraser. It was so small, but he's like, what is this? And then we were trying to look at it with the naked eye, and we could barely see any antenna or legs or anything. And we're like, this is just this rock. And then we noticed that there was like a stick attached to it. Like this bug was a host to moss, and then was also carrying a stick, but he didn't want to let it go. We're like, what is this bug? So thank you, Google. Thank you, research. Yes, see the tie in there. I was able to find out through the power of Google that thing is called a junk bug. Okay, so this thing, it looks like a little scorpion bred with an alligator, but it's microscopic, and it has all of these little. It's like a pipe cleaner that has come alive because it has all of these little spiny parts, and then it just collects debris, sticks, whatever, to create its camouflage. But you know what its favorite thing to use as camouflage is? Guess. Rhonda knows.
I know too.
They hunt aphids, and when they find one, they pierce its body with their pincers and suck out its insides. And then they take the residual body parts and create their body camouflage. So the green stuff we saw on this bug was the body parts of all the aphids it had eaten. It was not a moss at all. And so this little creature goes around killing things and then wearing the body parts as camouflage to protect itself. Is this bug not like the warrior of all warriors in the garden or what? And then it becomes a lacewing. And Rhonda says she loves lacewings, but now she loves the larva more. Why, Rhonda? Why do you love the larva more?
For killing all the aphids.
Yes.
So that's what a junk bug is. It is the larval stage of the common lacewing. So there's the more you know for today, thanks to Jamie Hirschberger. So that's what's up with me.
Wow.
Okay, I guess it's my turn.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I was going to hit up the convo. Let's
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, we'll do you first. I'd rather hear yours.
Well, there's not really anything up.
What's up then?
Week number 6.
I mean, week 6, I haven't left the house.
Tell us about your blanket, because when you stood up, Jen and I were oohing and ahhing about your blanket one day. It's the Up guy. See the Up guy there?
It's the little old couple from Up.
My
husband gave me the blanket for Christmas, and it has this thing on it that says, you could see me through your eyes, and a bunch of other stuff I can't recall at the moment. But it's basically I can just like wrap my husband's love around me.
Well, that's better because you were like, well, it's just a bunch of sentimental crap. And then I was like, oh my gosh. But then you were like, oh, but I can wrap it around me. I'm like, that's better.
I just don't remember what the words are.
That's really cute. Oh, Carl and Ellie. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And I also I handed in my second project for my web development course, and the reviewer said some pretty nice stuff.
Wow.
Like almost perfect, and really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Like,
wow.
Okay, I don't know how you can enjoy computer code, but okay.
That's awesome.
So go ahead. Let's go ahead and let's see what's up with our listeners.
All right. So Shelvest says, what's up? I hit my word goal with my Snow White story, but I'm only halfway through the story where the ending will feel rushed.
Well,
we are big fans of writing the story. So whatever story God gives you, write it. And then you can always edit later if you need to, or maybe it doesn't need editing. We'll see, right? Robin says, we've been working in the garden. Yay. Transplanted a bunch of roses yesterday, making good progress with my writing and launch strategy. Maria says, I've been ticking away with my Camp Nano project. Oh, is that this month?
I know.
Some proofing of my novel in publication process, but not been mega motivated. Still not 10% for being ill recently. Oh, Maria, I'm sorry.
I think she made 100%.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
I have written a new, if she's not yet 10%, that's really bad, right?
That's sad. Yeah, poor Maria. Get off the podcast and go
take a nap.
Take some vitamin C.
Yeah.
I have written a new first scene for my work in progress after being told several times that my hook was non-existent and have otherwise worked on my second act. All right.
That's hard to take, Piper. Good for you for taking constructive criticism and fixing the problem. That's hard to do. Good for you.
Agreed. Sage says that she's been super productive on everything except writing.
Sounds familiar.
Girl, Sage, you and I, we are like in the same place. But she finished her proofing and editing course. She's waiting for the results now. Good for you. And I'm just going to flip through here. Jason Marsh says on our Facebook page, to remind people, we are now live on both YouTube and Facebook. He says, this is perfect timing. I was just about to start researching a few people for my book. Good.
Hey,
so I'm
Jason, I know Jason. He's a great guy. Keep writing, Jason. Can't wait to see the story God gave you. Good job.
So that was a pretty decent segue into what we're doing today, maybe.
Yeah. I'd be curious to find out, is he's doing fiction or nonfiction or historical?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Type it in the chat box, Jason. What are you writing?
Okay, and on that note, this week's topic is accuracy in your writing, and who wants to take a stab at describing what we mean?
Not me, because I had to restart, so I don't even have my outline open. Someone else.
Well, Rhonda brought up nonfiction and fiction. So, Rhonda, you want to go first and say what it means for nonfiction?
Yes. Okay. So my favorite topic this year has been creative nonfiction. And that can be a slippery slope for some people because what you're doing is you're writing a true story, but you're making a narrative out of it. And so instead of just writing a technical paper with all the facts, this creative writing needs to have all those facts, but you can also add in what the viewer perceives as the emotions and what thoughts that maybe you knew or don't know was going through the talker's mind or whatever. But the facts of a nonfiction always have to be accurate if you want any credibility with your audience at all.
And it's similar with fiction. I write historical romance. It's similar, except that there's a lot more forgiveness in historical romance. And we're going to get into the details later. But with historical romance, people are first concerned with the story, but you have to have enough accuracy to for it to be believable. And there are certain things that you can let slide or be creative with in order to make the story work. But there are certain things that you cannot, that historical fiction readers will not accept. And as a side note, Jason Marsh says that he writes fiction and it's medieval fantasy. So that's
okay.
I like to read that.
Yeah, me too.
Well, medieval.
In real time.
there's going to be a lot of research to do medieval, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so I don't want to throw us off of the outline. But I mean, I guess I mean, we have it structured here, like, what are some places to watch? Well, I would imagine here's the thing that I think would trip me up the most writing medieval would be like how they talk. Because like you might not call a purse or a bag a bag or a piece of meat, a chop. I don't know. So you see, I would feel very concerned about getting the dialogue part right. But there's going to be other very obvious things like clothing, right?
Well, I heard somebody say one time, and it was a writer who was giving other writers advice. I'm sorry, I can't recall who it was, but he said to become an expert in whatever you're writing about, and then you can change it however you want.
So we
so one of the examples that we all have seen. Have you ever watched a crime drama on TV and the detective shows up at the crime scene and the coroner is there and the detective says, "Well, what's the time of death?" and then the coroner tells them? That never happens in real life. That is not how it happens in real life. But we all think it does because it seems like it always happens in those crime dramas because they're trying to make the story more seamless. So if the detective had to show up at the crime scene and then go to the coroner's office. So it's just one of those things that they always change, even though it's not accurate.
So then that brings up the question, though, in my mind, if you're writing crime drama and you write it that way, is it just that you're not going to be able to sell to anybody except for people who would just swallow that? I mean, because it seems like inaccuracy would still abound in that way if it were written into a book. Like I've read that in books, too, where the coroner is there and he tells them time of death. So see, and here's the thing. I'm coming at this from I would rather not research perspective. I write science fiction and I'm very careful not to say what decade I'm writing in because I don't want to have to worry about blended fabrics being a problem or any of these little details that trip people up. But when do you know that you have a license to play fast and loose with stuff like that? Like, I don't know what the answer is. Do you guys know?
I would say that the number one thing, and we've talked about this in the past before, is you have to read your genre.
There you go.
If you read your genre enough, you're going to know, you're going to have a feeling for it. Now, it doesn't mean that you aren't going to make mistakes. And trust me, if you make mistakes and you're in certain genres, your readers will let you know.
There you go.
Okay. Then you can always, we're independently published. We can fix mistakes.
Fix it in the next book or fix it in that book. Pull it down and repub.
There is a action writer, an action fiction author who made a mistake about guns in one of his books, and it was pretty major because his books are all about these spies and whatever. And someone from the United States, because we have books, and this is a British writer, or we have guns, where people in England don't own guns the way that we do here. And he reached out to that reader and got like a lot of information, and he went in and fixed his book. So that's the cool thing about it being an independently published author. But it's really important that you have to that you read in your genre so you kind of have a feeling for what's acceptable and what's not. Maria says, I think there's a spectrum between historical accuracy and accessibility. I lean more towards having modern accessible language, but blending in words and stuff from that period. Absolutely true. That was going to be similar to my answer for Jamie talking about language. And this doesn't just go for historical, because I know a lot of the people that are tuning in don't write historical, and you still need to be accurate. When you write accents for other countries, when I was trying to write the British accent for a couple of my characters, I reached out to my British friend and I had her read it, and I said, I need you to help me Brit this up. She sent me back a bunch of funny emojis, and she read it and she's like, it sounds British to me because, Jen, I'm British and I'm reading it with a British accent in my head. And so I did a bunch of research and found out that
very good.
that people that try to write accents ruin the writing, because it never is. It might be how we hear, like, say, an Irish accent. So when you read my book, Esther's book, there is an Irish guy in there that works in the loading dock. I only put a little bit, in there of things that are really like that would give us a sense that this person has an accent or this person is from. And I gave him a very Irish name and just enough because they don't read and hear them. So, like you would offend somebody sometimes if you try to change the dialect so much when you're writing to where it sounds what you think the dialect is, that a person from that country, just like if somebody was to write an American and they're not American, we might be offended by the way that they would represent the way we speak. And so it's a very fine line. You just have to give the flavor of it. So if you're writing historical, same thing. Like for me, and I'm going to go back up here, it's a little bit older, but Barb said, real talk, read from that era, not about that era, i.e. Chaucer. I've read a ton of books that were published in 1918 and 1919 to get just a flavor of it. Now, did I write my books in those languages? No, because they are very stiff sounding compared to what we read now. But I got enough vernacular and enough little things like taking a little kip on the couch and things like that that they would have used normally to just give it the flavor of that time period. So that's a great suggestion, Barb.
I ran into some problems with when I was writing my book, when I was trying to write the dialogue of people that I was blending cultures. I was blending the Native Alaskan culture of the Athabascan Indians in with modern America and like Old Testament Jewish culture. So I was kind of making up this culture that was blended, but their speech patterns, I was using the Athabascan Indians, the way they talk. And it caught all you guys up when you were reading stuff for me. Like, why are they, like every one of you may have mentioned the way that they were speaking. And so I felt like that was gonna, if it trips you guys up, it might trip up my readers. And so I had to go change it.
Yeah, I like what Sage Gordon Davis says. She says you don't need to be accurate 100% in everything, but enough that it doesn't bump the reader. And that's the sweet spot. And the trick is finding that sweet spot. And she's right. And I think that we're kind of, because of me, we're talking about dialogue, but there's so many other things that you have to watch for, right? So, for example, if you've set something in 1926, you can't have a Ford Mustang come barreling around the corner to rescue your ingenue, right? So you have to be very careful about place and time matters. What are some other, I mean, transportation is a thing to pay attention to. Are they still in horse and cart in your American town? Are there paved roads? Things like that you might let slip through the cracks. You know, Sally's running down the asphalt. Well, do they have asphalt in wherever that you're saying Sally lives? There are things that you have to be careful about. So would you guys recommend being careful as you write, or writing it and then handing it off to someone to check you?
Well, my first recommendation for people is you're already an expert in something. So if at all possible, try to write your book in something you're an expert at. I was just reading Jason's comment. He seems to have experience with blacksmithing or a passion for it or something. And I do as well. I've got a lot of blacksmiths in my family history. And it's fascinating to watch them. So I would be one of those people who would want accuracy in that. And when you're writing your characters, they don't just use accents with their tongue. You know, they use words like Maria would say a biscuit instead of a cookie, which I would say, or, if you are a character wearing a green top hat and have a golden pocket watch, maybe you're a leprechaun. I don't know.
Maybe you're a leprechaun. I love it. And I love how Piper, she's like from my camp. She says she writes shapeshifters, which don't exist. So I'm free and clear, right? But she says she does have to research the real animals to get the details believable. Yeah.
I never thought about that, but that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Maria says, food. When editing my second novel, I realized I had my main character swallowing a mouthful of potatoes, and then remember, potatoes wouldn't have come to Britain for centuries later.
Wow. Tina should have lived in Britain in whatever time period your book was written.
I can live in America today and not eat potatoes.
Same thing with me, though. Like I am, again, like what Rhonda said, write what you know. Like I'm writing, my characters are in Michigan, and I'm able to put in food items that I know, but I still have to research. Okay, when was Vernors invented? Like, I know my dad always talked about cherry phosphates and my dad's not old enough to live then, but how old were cherry phosphates? And I realized, wow, I could put cherry phosphates in my story and things like Coney dogs. I figured out when they were invented and could put them in my story. And so, so food is another one that's really, really important.
I did a lot of research in that line for food too, because my characters are trying to survive in the Alaskan wilderness, and I had to figure out, how do they make stew and what do they make it out of? And obviously they're not going to have potatoes, but yes, they do, because there's such a thing as a tundra potato that I had never heard of. So, yeah, that came into play a lot. I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos about culture. And I watched videos of old men making drums and dog sleds out of wood that they had soaked in the river with moose hide. And then they used like the sinew from the moose and they sewed it all together. And
okay, I got to stop you right there, because Sage is saying write first so you know what you need to research. Otherwise, you do a lot of research you don't need. Jennifer, would you like to speak about a certain fly fishing research tangent you went on?
Or how about the butchering a chicken research?
Yes.
Well, so I was writing, but I didn't have story structure then. So I was writing a ton of stuff that I didn't really need in my book, but I didn't realize it until later. But I agree with that. Like, write your story first, get the story down, then see what you have to go back in and do research for. But yeah, I wrote this whole wonderful scene. It was, of course, 11 o'clock at night when I started the scene. Wonderful scene, so detailed. I was like so proud of myself by the time I went to bed at 3 a.m. About how they, and I researched, watched videos, everything. And then I woke up in the morning and I read it. I'm like, I just wrote a whole chapter on butchering a chicken. Like, do I need this in a romance? So it was gone. And like the fly fishing, because it's in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, and there's salmon. I thought, oh, won't that be so great? And
so the risk is that could, if you were a different writer, it could distract you from doing the work of writing, is what I think Sage is cautioning against. You can get so mired down in getting the little details right that you don't ever get that book written. And we're here to try to push you across the finish line, not mire you down in a bunch of needless research, right?
Yeah. Did you notice that both Rhonda and I were doing this? Because we love research, don't we, Rhonda? Both Rhonda and I are nerds.
I
write, and I do genealogy as an excuse to do research. I just love to learn new stuff. Jamie, can we talk about what you and I talked about yesterday?
I don't remember. I would love to talk about anything with you, Rhonda, but I have a Swiss cheese memory.
Welcome to Genealogy Corner.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I have a passion for writing down your oral histories in your family. All your family members, I don't care if they're 2 years old or 200 years old, get the stories written down.
Yes.
And speaking of accuracy, Jamie told
should I just tell you what the story is?
Yeah.
Here is the story, as I recall. My grandfather had a dog. He was a faithful dog. I've named him Old Blue. I have no idea what his name really was, but Old Blue was so faithful that in the time of the Depression, he would scour the forest and bring partridges and pheasants back to my grandpa's family so that they did not starve during the Depression. That is the story as I remember it.
Yep. Now, she has other family members that may or may not remember it like that. She said it could have happened only one time. It could have never happened. Who knows?
I made up the dog's name.
See? Well, the point is, as far as writing your family stories down, which is also writing, you need to get the story down as you were told it or as you experienced it as a child.
Okay.
For instance, if my mother and her 2 sisters were in the same room, and this has happened, and all 3 were telling the same story, they would argue
it would be
about
different.
Yes. Each of them with their different personalities picked up on a different part of it, or it meant something a little different to them. So
have you ever had a conversation with your own husband about the birth of your children? Because the perspective is so completely different. You'll be like, this and this happened. He'll be like, no, it did not. It's the weirdest thing ever. I mean, you were both there. You both witnessed whatever. It's so bizarre, Rhonda. You are so right.
I have cousins. When I was a kid, they were all like 10 to 15 years older than me. And they used to disappear in the evenings and go out into the woods with paper bags and sticks and go snipe hunting without me. And I was so upset that I couldn't go. I think they were probably really at the bar, but but that's a real story in my mind because that's how I experienced it.
So, Rhonda, do I get to name the dog or not? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so when I go to write down the story...
Yeah, just write a disclaimer at the top of this saying this is a story I've had in my head since I was a child. And some of the facts may not be accurate, but the thing is, the story has been in your mind and it has shaped you or your opinions about certain things. And that's why it's still in your mind.
I know, because I always think, what a good dog. And I do in my mind wonder if my dogs would bring me little snacks.
Yeah, I don't think mine would. Mine would eat it.
We have some great chat going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to highlight some of it here. Piper says, when I'm writing something that I need to go research on, I literally put asterisk, stuff about XYZ here, asterisk, and get on with the rest of the story. Yep. If you've watched us at all for any length of time, you know what this means. That is 100% what I do as I'm writing, and I don't even want to stop it. Like, I just get the story done and do that. So.
Ironically, Jennifer is the most, I don't know what you would want to call it, like puritanical of the four of us, and she's the one that came up with like triple X to be the like insert information here, and it's triple X.
No,
like,
it's
Jennifer.
No, it's like 8 X's.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know.
That's even worse.
That's
Shelf says, even when writing fantasy, a little research goes a long way. I have a vampire story and someone asked me what powers they have. I fell in the Google hole. Still haven't decided what powers they have.
I fell in the Google hole. That's amazing.
Yeah, we can help each other out.
Yeah. Sage says the worst is when you read a book and it's clear the author spent 6 weeks researching topic X and they're going to make darn sure you know it.
I hate that. I just feel like a lot of times people just need to let their characters live in a story and not worry about showing off how smart they are. I mean, the character has a job to do. The character is trying to tell a story or whatever, and you're sitting there trying to be fancy, and it's just not necessary.
Yeah, and honestly, the hardest lesson I had to learn about it at all was just to admit to myself that I'm procrastinating, and I just need to quit researching and just write.
Wow, Rhonda, that's pretty insightful.
Yeah, well, I don't follow it, but I did realize it.
Do as we say and not as we do.
Yeah. Right. That's our new tagline. Welcome to the Christian
I'm not
Indie
sure
Writers
that
Podcast.
that fits with the Christian
Do as we say and not as we do.
I am your president, Jennifer Carl Tong. Follow me.
Oh. Marlanta.
On that note, are we done discussing all these topics? I feel like we could go on forever, but
I feel like someone could read this chat and be an expert on research. You guys know your stuff. I'm so impressed by our chat. If you guys ever want us to talk about something else, send us a line and be like, hey, you know what? If you're like, hey, we in the chat would like to have a conversation about blah, blah, blah. No, just kidding. We are here to facilitate the chat. No, joke. Anyway, are we moving on, Tina?
Yes, we are. This is the transition where we go into the feeding of the backs.
Yay!
And for those who haven't heard the joke, we get feedback for our stories. So we always say, "Are your backs fed? Is your back fed, or is your back well fed?" And so we call this the feeding of the backs. And what we did was today we set a timer for 10 minutes, and we wrote for 10 minutes on a prompt that we had just heard, and we had no time to plan and no time to edit anything. So
yeah, we only had 10 minutes instead of 15.
So because of that, we only give positive feedback and attaboys. So who wants to go first? I feel like Jennifer gets picked on a lot, so I'm going to pick on Rhonda.
No.
And you have to tell us the prompt and then read what you wrote.
Okay. I didn't have time to write the prompt down, so can somebody else read the prompt?
I can do that for you, for sure. The prompt is, write something with obviously incorrect historical information. See if a reader can spot your ruse.
Okay, this is going to be super quick. I seriously had a mind blank today. All right.
It was a hard one, and I just want to point out, everyone can blame Jamie.
Yes, it's my fault.
So no hating in the convo in the chat unless it's at Jamie. Just saying.
Yes.
And I've been playing around with an omniscient narrator, so I slowed myself down even more by doing that today.
How interesting!
A good practice, right?
This isn't okay.
Oh,
this is a story about a girl. She's a young girl full of laughter and kindness. Her favorite things to do is reading, and her favorite place to do it is in a corner of the garden where only moss grows under the old oak tree. If she has a blanket, she will settle for laying in the grass, but only after the dew is evaporated from the lavender-colored blades. That is literally as far as I got.
Oh, I love what you have, though. Like, golly.
I'm fascinated by lavender blades of grass.
Oh, well, that was true, right?
I'm fascinated by a lawn under a big oak tree. That's what I'm fascinated by. because underneath my oak tree is a bunch of sand. So that is your ruse. Wahaha. No,
is that
not your ruse?
The moss on it though?
There's moss hanging from it. Yeah, it's not on the ground. Is that what your ruse was? Mossy ground
for that.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of a moss with that like chartreuse colored moss underneath it in the woods that we go morel hunting in.
I just want to be under a tree reading a book right now.
I know, me too.
What was your intended ruse? Did you get it in there?
I was just going to change some of the, like the purple grass.
Okay.
That's really as far as I got.
Okay. Awesome. Good job. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Mr. Jack, can I help? Mr. Jack slipped his cap from his head and gave it a vigorous rub, his eyes on his project, then on me, then back on the monstrosity so indelicately placed on his tinker bench. I'm afraid I've got no use for small, nimble fingers on this job. You go and find yourself something else to do. I went over to the corn bin and started scooping up handfuls and letting it run through my fingers. I liked the gentle clicking sounds it made as it fell back onto itself. It reminded me of the way the cellophane on our Easter basket always sounded when Mom gathered it up, while simultaneously hustling us into our patent leather shoes and peacoats. I wondered what Buttercup was doing. Had she ventured much from her mother's side today? Had she occasion to frolic or jump? Had she made friends with any of the older calves? How you reckon Buttercup's made any friends? That's weird, because it's a half sentence that I corrected later. Whatever. Immediately, I regretted the ask, as I saw Mr. Jack was likely in no mood to answer one of what Mama always called my piddling questions. He was pressing hard on the end of a long metal tool, a wrench maybe, trying to loosen a bolt or otherwise start the deconstruction process. As I watched, he pushed harder, his cheeks puffed with held breath. Finally, he raised to his tiptoes and pressed on that lever with all his full-grown man weight. That's all I got.
Did you get to your ruse?
Well, sort of. The trick of it is you guys haven't read more in this world, so you wouldn't know that the cellophane from the Easter basket would be it because it's too early for that. But the problem is you don't know the context of this whole story being a much earlier time period. So
that was the trouble with, I didn't know what time period this was for sure. And so,
that's
quite
what
a challenge
when you don't have time to do your research.
Right.
I could hear it.
You could hear it?
I was transported back to like 1979.
The corn bin sound, like that sound of the corn.
Oh, the cellophane.
And the cellophane, yeah.
I don't know what a corn bin is.
So it's the crib. It's like it's the place where they put corn. And the reason I know about this is because my grandfather had cows, and the cows got into the corn one time, and he had it in this old separate thing where it had like a door on it that was left open, and we didn't know how to get the cows out, and we were little kids, and we didn't understand that cows were like docile and obedient. So like tears and shrieking and crying, the cows. And meanwhile, the cow turns and looks at us, is just chewing real slow, doesn't even care that we're all distraught, is just getting another mouthful. And we're like, anyway, so they keep corn in like these particular spots so that it's easy to
like
feed
a silo?
It's not. It's just a crib. It's just like a little outbuilding maybe that Grandpa had. Yeah. And then in a barn, you might have a bin to keep corn. I don't know. So it's just some mythical box of corn.
Okay.
So maybe that was the ruse. Maybe no such thing exists. And but see, that's what you do in Appalachia. If you need a bin, you make one. If you need a place to put your corn, you construct one, right, Rhonda? It's just like you grab whatever's around and you make a place to put the corn. I don't know.
My cousins in Minnesota used to always tell me that the more silos a farmer had, the richer he was. So if you just have a bin, I guess you're poor.
We were not rich farmers. Nope.
The corn crib's a regular. I mean, we'll discuss this after the podcast.
Yes, let's
a large building.
And to be fair, that was dating advice. That was not farming advice.
Okay. I like it.
Farmersonly.com. There's like a number of silos. It's kind of like a ranking system.
Yes.
If this is a 3-silo fella, you want to date with him, right?
And if you're single and of marriageable age, then if you're riding down the road, they will point out the silos.
Oh, that's interesting to know.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go next just because I'm the host and I have to talk last. So then, are you okay with going last, Jennifer?
I never get to, so yeah, I'm great with it.
Okay, so here's mine. I almost didn't make it to my thing that was false, so there's a hint for you. It was Sunday, Lizzie's favorite day of the week. They would get up and put on their finest dresses. Mama would put ribbons in their hair, and then it was into the wagon for the ride to town. It was a warm spring, and Lizzie lay back and watched the blue sky and the tops of the trees go by. She daydreamed of flowers on warm summer days. The pastor's sermon wasn't as long as usual, and soon they were heading to the general store. Pa had said that they could each get a piece of penny candy, and Lizzie knew exactly what flavor she wanted, strawberry. Her mouth watered at the thought of it. Inside the store, Lizzie tried to be patient while Ma browsed, and Pa struck up a conversation with the shop owner. "Can you believe it?" the shop owner said. $2 an acre for what? A huge chunk of ice? Well, I'm sure there's something there besides ice, Pa said. He had the paper spread out in front of him and was peering down at it.
Nice.
His spectacles balanced precariously on his nose. Lizzie had no idea how he kept them there. "Of course there is," the shop owner replied. "Eskimos and Russians." He spoke the words as if he were speaking of something foul. "I like Eskimos," piped up Lizzie's little sister, her tongue poking out where her two front teeth used to be. "What's a ruffin, though?" "Well," Father said to the shop owner, "purchasing Alaska for $2 an acre may well turn out to be Seward's folly."
Wow. Historical fact. And now I'm all akimbo. Because at first I was like, no strawberry candy. But now I'm like, maybe I don't know my history well enough, and maybe he didn't pay $2 an acre. I'm stumped. You fooled me. I don't know what your fact that is incorrect.
That is it, actually.
It is?
Yeah, he did not pay $2 an acre.
Yes.
It was 2 cents an acre.
All right.
I didn't realize we were supposed to do this as a trick, to see. I guess I missed that part. Mine's super obvious. Sorry, Rhonda.
At the beginning, I had the feeling these were your Civil War characters. Are they not, or are they?
No, I was really trying not to make them be Little House on the Prairie, like I used to watch when I was a little girl.
That's exactly what I imagined.
They sound like neighbors.
I really wanted to call my main character Laura and her little sister Carrie.
Right.
So,
why didn't you?
I just decided to make them not Little House on the Prairie.
But did you hear what I said? They could be neighbors to my little Mr. Jack girl.
Yeah, they could play in the corn bin.
I don't know if they want to play with her, though. She don't care nothing about ribbons for her hair.
Laura didn't either.
Only on Sunday.
Only on Sunday. Okay, we can make an exception. So Jen still has to go, right?
Yep.
Tina, that was really good. Really good.
Really
and now I want to hear Jen's super obvious ploy to trick us.
Mine's so corny. Okay.
Mine was corny. Literally.
Oh, no. Oh.
I wish it was corny.
I know. Oh, I like corny. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. Well, I do declare that is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard.
It's the accent.
Yeah, the accent is the most ridiculous thing. Trust me. I'm terrible at accents. Scarlett fanned herself vigorously. She peered up at Ashley through her thick, batting eyelashes. "I swear, Scarlett, the war is upon us, and the southern states believe they will be victorious." "That's just Twitter talk. I don't listen to anything from Twitter. They are just all so negative." "What's Twitter?" Ashley asked, scratching his head.
What's Twitter?
"Not Twitter, you say? Well, I don't believe anything you read on Facebook either. You know, most of those news stories in your feed are from dubious sources." Ashley's scowl deepened. "Dubious, yes. Much like this conversation." Scarlett put down her fan. "What exactly are you saying, Ashley Wilkes?" "I'm saying I think you might be a little under the weather, Miss Scarlett. You are speaking gibberish." "I ain't got no fever. I'm as fit as a fiddle." Ashley shook his head. "All this talk about twits and books with faces, you've got me worried." "Ain't nothing to worry about. I stay clear away from Twitter and Facebook. They're not for me." "That's a relief, I think," he said, dabbing his forehead with his handkerchief. "Silly Ashley, I thought you, of all people, would know me well enough to know that Instagram is my jam. Now hand me my selfie stick and get out of my natural light."
Yay! That's
Oh, that was
so
fantastic.
awesome.
I've never
That's the
heard Gone with
best.
the Wind fanfic before. That was fantastic.
Oh, I don't know if this would even be good enough to qualify as fanfic.
It was
think
good. I liked
better than
it.
that.
That's what I thought we were supposed to be doing, was like it being really obvious. So then as you guys are reading yours, I'm like, oh no. Oh no.
I have to say, this is the way my brain works. As you're reading, my brain is like, we need to do a family tree of Ashley to see if there's a John Booth in his family tree, because I never really noticed before the last name until you had Scarlett say it. Ashley Wilkes. I'm like, Wilkes Booth. Squirrel. You know, that just sent me totally off on this tangent.
Right.
But
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
really fun. And Jennifer, the accents are the best.
Oh yeah.
Great. Really, really good. And I love how Rhett was so confused, or not Rhett, Ashley. He was so
Ashley.
confused about,
I
like,
couldn't-
I'm not sure what you're talking about,
I
Scarlett.
could totally not write it as Rhett, because Rhett would know the lowdown. Like Rhett
Right.
knew everything. Like he was way too smart. So
Rhett has staff publishing on his social media.
Yeah.
right.
A
Exactly.
mover and a shaker. Okay, so Jen, that was amazing, Maria said. I think that's great.
Yeah. Thanks for all the compliments on all of our writing, guys. I know that
Yes.
you guys have been
Yeah,
talking
we
there, but
can't keep up with the chat.
we seem to be going faster than what I could like actually put it up there. But there was some really good comments for everybody's work, so we really appreciate that, and we would love to see your writing as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So please tweet us or send it to us through. Do a screenshot and put it on Instagram and tag us. However, we would just love to see it. Instagram is my strawberry jam. Oh, it wasn't strawberry jam. It was just my jam. But still, that's even funnier.
It's even better with strawberry
rhubarb.
jam.
I should say it's my rhubarb jam.
No, it has to be historically inaccurate, so it needs to be like, I don't know, avocado, or I don't know.
But Instagram would totally be Scarlett
Insta,
jam for sure.
Insta, yeah.
Taking
I need my filter. I need my filter.
yeah.
Where's
Okay.
that filter
Well,
that makes me
moving
look so
along.
nice?
It is time for what's next.
Southern belles avoid natural light. That's what Barbie says. I can't be in the natural light. Gives me the vapors.
Or freckles, even worse.
The freckles.
All right,
yeah.
who's going to go first for the what's next?
Oh, I will, because guess what? I'm like actually writing stuff, which is really kind of, yeah. What a surprise. But here's the thing. It is a week away from the 1st of May. A week away from the 1st of May. Now I'm Dr. Seuss. But my husband has been not working due to the fact that there's no gatherings of large groups of people, which is his industry. So he's been home, and my kids are probably thinking, does dad just not work now? Or like, because it's been 5 weeks. But my husband says he's done on the 1st, and he's going to be like making whatever decision, because here's the deal. If his industry is coming back, he'll know. If his industry is not coming back, he'll know it's time to pivot. But we've had to wait. We're just in a holding pattern. And I feel like I am taking a cue from him. And now is the time for us to be happy. Let's pretend we don't need money people who just are enjoying each other's company. But once we decide we're back at it, I'm going to have to make some decisions about what I'm going to write and where I'm going to focus, and even how I'm going to spend my time, because it may be that I have to get a job. We don't know. So I may be doing the 9-to-5 grind, and that might change things for y'all too, just so you know what's going on, because we have to replace an income that supports a whole family. So my what's up is just this next week trying to sort out of all of the writing projects that I have going, that I could continue, that I could make a goal to actually get finished. Which one will it be? It's like I'm spinning a big wheel, like on Wheel of Fortune, because you have no idea how many unfinished projects I have, and it's just So that's my what's next. How about you, Rhonda? What's your what's next?
My what's next is continue to work on my November Nano project, which I'm making pretty decent progress on. But I had an epiphany the other day that I wanted to change my narrator from first person to an omniscient narrator. And actually, it's making the writer a whole lot easier.
Great.
So if anybody's having a hard time writing what they're writing, try changing the narrator or the point of view, and it might just come together for you. So anyway, all those changes is taking some time, but I feel really good about it. I think that I'm actually going to have a finished book here
Now, because I know how you work, Rhonda, would you like a deadline? Would you like to have some accountability? What do you want? You want us to ask you when we come back on Friday, what? That you got to whatever point in your story, or?
Next Friday, did I make all the narrator changes? And is the second draft done?
I love how you
didn't even want to.
If you don't say it loudly, it doesn't count, right?
Right. I didn't mean it.
Because I mean, Accountability Corner went away, but that doesn't mean we don't want to keep you accountable if that's what you need from us, because we are here to help you cross the finish line. So, all right, we'll ask you next Friday.
Okay.
Okay. Jennifer, what about you? What's next for you?
Well, I feel like we're just now starting to get into a groove of homeschooling.
Yay.
Yeah, like, so this past year has just been a year of upside down. I got a phone call from the hospital, like, I don't know how like their bereavement office, just to doing a check-in, because it's been 6 months since my aunt passed away. It was very nice. And so since it's been 6 months since she passed away, we're coming up on the anniversary of when she was diagnosed here too. So it's been almost a year that I've been on this roller coaster, and then on top of that, now when I started to feel like I was kind of straightening things out, then all of this kind of happened.
I know. Remember New Year's, Jennifer? We were like ready to attack all this stuff with a plan.
I know. And so in a lot of ways, though, I just feel like God is the great economist.
Yeah.
He doesn't waste anything.
Nope.
And he knew this was all going to happen. And so part of me feels like there's a reason for all this. For me personally. Like, I think overarching for the whole world, but for me, there's a reason why he is slowing it down and like making me focus on other things, not just on my career. So, but I feel like I'm kind of getting a groove with the homeschooling, because my kids have to come first, and they have to feel like they come first too. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, like I feel like they come first, but if they don't feel like they come first, then it doesn't matter. And like trying to like do the homeschooling and jumping right into writing was not working for them. They were feeling you could tell. And so I feel like we're kind of getting a groove now. My husband as well is slated to go back to work on May 4th, which will make a huge difference, because then that will slow things down here too, because we're trying to cram as much in as possible while he's here, like trying to do projects and just being together as a family too, like really enjoying that part of it.
Yeah, us too. I get it.
So for this next week, honestly, it's probably gonna be more of the same. But I'm thinking that the week after that, I'm gonna have a lot more normalcy.
Just like me, it's like May 1st is gonna break some kind of seal. I don't know.
I mean, I'm nervous about that.
Yeah, me too.
I'd rather keep my husband home for months, and this whatever happens. But
I know we're having such a good time, but we got to get back to work too. So
right. So praying that the stay at home it continues to help heal our area, and that people just praying for God's guidance and everything. So for the next week, it's going to be more of the same. But the week after that, I'm hoping to really get back into this.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you too if you wanted any accountability, because I know how you operate. So this week, no. This week, the answer is no. Got it.
No, because I know exactly what's going to happen this week.
Are we going to do the chat or Tina first? Why don't we go to Tina and then the chat to break up the talk?
Sure.
What's up with next for you, Tina?
Well, another week staying home. We just started a new church, and so I'm kind of the tech person and the social media representative person and chief bottle washer. So there's a lot of stuff I'm trying to learn how to do. And our church is a little unique. Well, we used to be. We were an online only church, and we started a week before all the other churches went online. So I've been keeping track of all our insights and our numbers and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not sure it means anything right now, because there's so much competition out there. So on one hand, you have 1,000 other churches all going online too, probably more. And then you have people that are at home more often. So I don't know how it balances that all out. So that's just one thing that's really taking up a lot of my time. And I decided, though, on Monday, I'm going to try to write at least for one sprint. And it's not going to be on my book. I'm just going to try to get some writing out.
All right. We can even maybe do a prompt. Let's have some fun with it when we come into office hours on Monday.
Yeah.
You want to try?
Sure.
Okay.
Love that.
So, and my hydroponic garden is still alive. So that
Yay!
is going well. So that's pretty much what's going on in my life.
All right. Well, in the chat, we have some people chatting in. Maria says that it's her birthday on Sunday, so looking forward to that. Going to have socially distanced fun with family and friends, and then going to continue on with her Camp Nano project. Robin says finished 8,000. She's going to finish 18th.
Whoa, 18,000
words by the end of the month.
Wow.
Not kill the roses.
Yeah.
Do the RCMP memorial thing this afternoon.
Oh.
That's Royal Canadian Mounted Police, I believe.
So what can she do? Are they they can't gather? I'm curious about that. I'll have to look that up.
Piper says she's been doing sprints on Zoom with some writers across the country. That's awesome. It's been helpful, and I'm getting writing.
Yeah, we want a link, Piper.
Yeah.
Let us in.
Yeah.
Sage says her what's next is I have no idea. I'm with you. See, Sage, we are like in the same mindset right now. I'm also in a holding pattern until our president announces things next week. Monday's a holiday, definitely reading, maybe writing, and some more studying. Shell says she's going to finish Snow White Camp Nano. Need to set a better daily schedule for myself since I'm off. She's off work too, and find time to just sliding away. And there's finding time is sliding away, and there's so much that she wants to get done. Let's see. We're missing ones. Jason Marsh, says, what's next? Been stuck on chapter 2. Next, I want to get 3 chapter finished next week.
Okay, you know what I'm going to say, Jason, I happen to know that there's a certain person out there with the initials KH who also should be writing, and I think that the two of you should be accountability buddies to each other. If you need a better clue, private message me, Jason, because I think you and I both know who we're talking about, and this other person sure could also use a kick in the pants. So I'll be reaching out.
Finding
I'm curious if
accountability
he's
partners.
an outliner or a pantser.
I'm curious too. I have so
I was
many
wondering
questions.
the same thing.
Our new chatter. Jason's gonna be so happy he chimed in today.
And then also too, Jason, I want to say to you and everyone else who's watching, because we're on Facebook and on YouTube as well, the YouTubers can't see what the Facebook chatters are saying.
That's a bummer.
The Facebook chatters can't see what the YouTube chatters are
because
saying.
they're talking to Jason in the chat and he doesn't even know.
Well, I was trying to, but we were by the time they would show up, it was too late in our conversation. So yeah, you might want to head over just to read some things, but we appreciate you no matter what platform you're on, and we're going to try really hard to try to merge them better.
Wait, so just let's cover that one more time. If you're chatting on Facebook, you're maybe not seeing all the chat that is happening on YouTube, is what you're like the people who are watching. Okay. That's interesting.
So I'm going to try really hard next time. But it's hard because if I see something and I'm ready to click it, but I'm not in control of the conversation, and someone continues on with something else, and I can't click it like 2 conversations later. So we're going to try our best.
Yeah.
Because if I click it and it shows up on the screen, then everybody gets to see it.
Right. Jennifer, I just want to tell you that it looks like we're doing Crayola product placement because right over your shoulder.
I saw that.
It's like someone said it there on purpose to kind of be
and Amazon.
Crayola.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll take any of that sponsor money you want to send our way, crayons.
Right. And Jason says he's a plotter mostly. I randomly decide to pantser it. Okay. So
awesome.
Okay. So I think everyone's done their what's next. And I think that will conclude our podcast. Does anybody have anything burning they need to say before I sign us off? All right, so this concludes the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. So until next week, may your pen be prolific, your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.